take over the mantle of leadership, I want to say, by commitment, as the Chief Executive of the Northwest Business Commission, not come today. Governance by the grace of Almighty, very soon, very soon, areas of leadership. But because bountiful everywhere you go, everywhere, majority, wherever you see, hard work, perseverance. That is why you meet him. Making to meet the first point. That is a Nigerian for you. How do you think if he has the same enabling environment with facilities available within the Nigeria, will he get out of the border of Nigeria? He will not. All the people going for medical tourism in India and Egypt and other countries, ask them, some of the consultants are Nigerians in some critical, sophisticated areas of neurology that deals with brains. Therefore, that is why I started. We said our youth are our assets, and our assets are our wealth. And we are proud of you being the Nigerian youth. Please and please and please, the Nigerian youth, leave aside any unwanted activities because you have a dignity, you have an integrity, You are honored. God has honored you the way he honored the Nigerian environment. There is no any place in the world that can compare with the Nigerian environment. And I bet you, you can challenge me. Go anywhere in Nigeria, dig 5 meters ground, and see the blessings of the Almighty God there. You have abundant sun, abundance rainfall, abundance dams, abundance arable land for agriculture, abundance youth that you can utilize in every form. But why are we left behind? And this is, I think, the mission of this summit. Let's call ourselves back together. I thank you, the bridge. You are not only bridging the gap, you are also bridging the intellectuals, the innovators, the initiators, the inventors. You are putting them together, and very soon they will show their worth if it continues this all over the globe. Being a teacher, if you allow me, I'll continue talk and leave no space. So let me read what I came with a little. Distinguished guests, Your Excellencies, the executive governors present, represented here today, honorable ministers, commissioners responsible for youth development across the Northwest states, the leadership of Bridge Connect Africa Initiative, representatives of the Nigerian Youth Futures Fund and the Northwest Youth Development Consortium, Director Generals, permanent secretaries, esteemed developers, partners, members of the press, security, and above all, the young people of Northwest Nigeria for whom this summit is existing. I welcome you and greet you and said, permit me and please honor me by giving me an extension to be an elder youth so that I can be part of you. I am honored to deliver this keynote address on behalf of the Northwest Development Commission, an institution established by His Excellency the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, precisely to address kind of long-term development challenge this summit seeks to confront. What this gathering represents is not just a convening or summit, but it is a statement of priority. And I commend every stakeholder who made the decision, the generation that will not wait but are in action. The youth of this country are not asking for permission. They are building, organizing, and leading without a formal. When young Nigerians coordinated across state lines to push the not too young to run act through the National Assembly in 2018, they did not wait for the establishment to hand them a seat at the table. They built their own, they mobilized, they legislated, and they changed. We have also seen young people drive Nigerian ecosystem into one of the most dynamic on the African continent, attracting billions in investment across tech, agri-tech, health tech, and logistics in inclusion. We have seen youth-led organizations provide security intelligence and community mediation in environments where the state has struggled to reach. What our young people need is not motivation. They have already been motivated. They have that in abundance. What they need is coordination, policy backing, and leadership that treats their development as what is the challenge. Northwest Nigeria carries some of the heaviest development bodies, which nobody can deny. The highest rate of out of school children, unemployment that outpaces the national average, insecurity that has displaced communities and disrupted livelihoods, and dimensional poverty that reaches into healthcare, clean water, national leadership. Federal government of Nigeria, under the President, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has laid a national policy foundation upon which the regional work can be established. The Development Commission itself is a direct expression of that commitment, a deliberate decision to invest in a region whose development challenges exceed that any single state government can address. Equally important is the federal government's commitment to the technical and vocational education through the Federal Ministry of Education and the National Board for Technical Education. The current administration has been expanding TVET infrastructure, broadening enrollment, and working to reposition vocational training as a cultural pathway rather than a fallback option for a region like Northwest, where large numbers of young people enters the labor market every year. I see from the graduation of our higher institutions, the skills they carry will determine whether our population becomes a dividend or a burden. The Northwest Development Commission is committed, as, as I mentioned earlier, to ensuring that federal TVET investments are aligned with the state level institutions across our seven states so that the resources reach the community that much. The role of the Northwest Development Commission, as I mentioned earlier, and what we must commit to beyond this after this summit are easy, but turning to your state capital on Monday, by facing budget pressures and political demands, and still protecting the land items. That is where commitment want to see our able government so that city ministry. This summit must produce more than goodwill message. It challenge every state government here to live with at least one concrete, measurable commitment, a named action, a budget line, a responsible officer, and a reporting date. Something young people in your state can hold you to in 6 next month. The Northwest Development Commission is prepared to convene a follow-up coordination mechanism to track the progress against commitments made today. This is not punitive. It is what seriousness look like. And what to young people present here today, you are not the subject of this conversation. You are its purposes. You are the purpose why we are here. Everything discussed here today, the agenda, the frameworks, the policy commitment exist because of what you represent and what you are capable of doing. Do not allow anyone to make decisions about your future without you in the room. The not too young to run generations prove that when young Nigerians organize around a clear demand and hold institutions accountable, they ultimately win. You have the president. Hold us to what we agree today. If the answer in 6 months is not good enough, say so. The region needs you most, and that is why you are an asset. In conclusion, the Northwest is not a region in decline. No, we are not declining, we are progressing. We don't accept psychological. It is a region in transition, carrying a genuine challenge while standing on the edge of transformation of its young people, which are already trying to build up. Our youth are not perfect. They are builders. They are not destroyers. Our task is to stop getting in the way and start getting them, encourage them, motivate them to move from admiring their resilience to moving the barriers, the mandate. I congratulate the host state by even accepting to host this summit, encouraging and support given to them, and other states that shows interest to be present here despite some in their administration. I commend the summit organizers, state ministries of development. I acknowledge the federal government for the policy foundation. And I thank our development partners for their sustained investment Live here not just inspired, but resolved, not watching. Young people watching. Let us be also want to do the thinking about it. Don't waste your time. What, what are you worshiping? You're only wasting your time. People are making money, making deals all over the world. You are only relying at home, asking the father to provide for the morning breakfast. You are not sincere to him. So youth empowerment, for youth engagement. Friend youth part in your presence, they are negotiating for its cost, selling it. What type of youth that are we having? Developing, are we generating? And that is why the Development Commission said in its youth approach strategy is coming with engage you in skill applications, will support you to a starter pack, and will follow up your progress. If you are not making it, we will not allow it to go back to you again. And I assure you, when I came in May last year, I opened up a scholarship for 1,000 Nigerian youths. Wallahi, I swear. What happens, you will have seen it in the Daily Trust, I have been challenged. The issue I wanted to test and see what happens. Within 24 hours that I opened my portal, requesting for credentials of first class and 2-1, we have 5,700 people, youth, graduated with first class and second class level within 24 hours. Then what is Nigeria doing with those ones? And in the area of science and engineering. So if it is open to general, what would have happened? And these people are willing to, become an asset. Abilities. So not consumers, but we are producers. Not, but by the special grace of Almighty God, God has intervened. Our youth come up and are going to grow and progress by the will of Allah. Thank you very much. Whatever I have said in error, forgive me.
Thank you so much, Prof, for that outstanding keynote speech. I'm glad to let you know that um, the managing director switched from his goodwill message to giving us a special keynote remarks, keynote address, and we are glad that he took that transition. Now, before we move further, while he was presenting across the region and in person of Honorable Commissioner, Jigawa State Ministry of Information, Youth, Sport, and Culture, Honorable Sagiru Musa Ahmed. We are glad to have you, sir. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you. And he's also the chairman, Progressive Youth Commissioners, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Now, to move further, I would like to welcome shortly for another goodwill message the Nigeria's Youth Futures Fund in person of Mr. Olushola Otujani. We are glad to have you, sir. And let's give him a round of applause as he comes up stage to deliver his goodwill message in the next 3 to 4 minutes. Thank you so much.
So, excellent governor. Ably represented by His Excellency Barrister Gloria Ibrahim, the Commissioner for Youth Development, all other North West region, thereby present. I also like to honor Your Excellency, Professor CEO, and the MD of the Northwest. I also hope the EDB special guests, development partners, facilitators, collaborators, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Importantly, the young people in the room. As we follow on existing protocols, greatest Nigerian youth. If you are in the room, I want a loud response. Greatest Nigerian youth. Greatest Northwest youth. I'll start on this note. It is a privilege to stand before you on behalf of the Nigerian Youth, on behalf of our director, Dr. Elizabeth Agbeti Douglas, who sends a warm greetings and deep solidarity for the work this summit is convening under the theme From State Action to Regional Impact, Advancing Youth Development Across Northwest Nigeria. By every standard, this theme is not a slogan, it is a strategic argument. And I want to spend the next few minutes unpacking why this matters and what it demands of every young person in this room. Let me begin with a story. In the 1950s, a young woman from Zaria named Gambo Sawaba, barely in her 20s, with no formal education beyond primary school, became one of the most feared voices for democratic rights in northern Nigeria. She was arrested over a dozen times. She was flogged in public. Local authorities tried repeatedly to silence her. What was her offense? Sawaba organized market women, mobilized ordinary people who had never participated in politics, and demanded that the rights of the northern poorest citizens to be taken seriously. She did not wait for a platform. She built one from the ground up in her community, in her language, for her people. What started in Zaria rippled across the north and into Nigeria's independence story. She was not powerful because of who she knew. She was powerful because of what she refused to accept. Let me ask everyone here this question. Is this the best Nigeria can offer us? I didn't get a response. From local actions to national impact. That is the arc this summit is asking you and I to trace. And the regional scale across the northwest region of Nigeria. The change we seek is not recognition. That was why I had to recognize the host, the Bridge Connect ED. The change we seek is not for recognition, but to make our society work for everyone. A place where all the barriers to growth and development are broken down. And that if anyone tries their best, works hard, by being diligent, then they can have a fair shot at life and live a meaningful and fulfilling life. The Northwest states, comprising Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna, Kano, and Jigawa, is home to over 60 million people, as reiterated by Prof. This is according to National Population Commission. It is a region of extraordinary history, intellectual heritage, and civic tradition. Sokoto Caliphate of the early 19th century was itself an organized social reform movement, a demonstration that the people of this region have always understood that systems can be changed and transformed by those with conviction, preparation, and collective will. The scholars of Kano produced some of the most sophisticated administrative and legal framework in pre-colonial West Africa. Queen Amina of Zaria governed and built with an authority that history records, and this generation must not. The Northwest carries that legacy, and it must not, and it must now carry it forward. From state actions being taken across 7 governments into regional impact that only coordinated, youth-led civic energy can deliver. Where are we currently? Prof was trying to share with us earlier. Where are we currently? The Northwest today face major challenges, governance challenges in this country. Insecurity has displaced hundreds, if not thousands, many of them young people. The region accounts for a disproportionate share of Nigeria out of school children. Youth unemployment is also very significant. And public service delivery, health, education, and infrastructure remain deeply uneven across the 7 states, with communities in one state often unaware that neighboring states have piloted solutions to the very problem they face. Who says we have to reinvent the wheel? Some of the challenges we are facing today have been solved in some other societies, though the context might be different. We need to adapt to build the resilience that we want. So why are we here today? That's a fundamental question we need to ask ourselves. Why are we here today? State action without coordination, produced, not evaluated, refined, and adapted for Kebbi is a missed opportunity for regional impact. The peculiarities and common values shared by the region suggest coordinated and integrated actions could produce larger impact. A unified across the zone is a ceiling and not a launch pad. The Northwest does not lack initiative. It lacks connective, shared learning, collective civic pressure that turns 7 separate states story into one regional. That connective tissue is what European Union are different. They are different, but have a common network that scales development. That is what here, informed and persistent, that have across. Okay, let me just skip some so that I don't bore us too much. So what does this team that we are here to discuss that says from state action to regional impact demand from us for Northwest? If you do not understand the governance landscape of your own state, know your local government allocation, know your state education and health budget, know what your state government has committed to on youth development, whether it has delivered. That is your baseline. That is where state action. It demands that you share what you know across states. Like a man from Zamfara, organizing community security dialogue about doing civic work. But if they never speak to each other, their impact stays local. This summit is the beginning of that conversation. Protect it, sustain it after today. It also demands that you build credibility alongside your passion. A region where governance conversations can be dominated by elite political actors. All of us here are, I'll put it in quotes, we are elites. And we know that. And we formulate policies for people in the interiors. I think we need to have that tough conversation so that we will begin to think internally. In a region where governance conversation can be dominated by elite political actors, a young person who comes with data, with a policy brief, with documented evidence, command a room differently than one who comes with a grievance. I don't know if that's connect. A young person who comes with data, shows data to the executive, comes with a policy brief, a documented evidence, commands a room differently than someone that is just aggrieved. We are aggrieved, we are agitated, we come, we protest, we're saying we can do it better. It also demands that collective actions across differences. The North is not a monolithic seven state, diverse communities and different political contexts. Regional impact is not possible if youth across youth actors from Kano and Kaduna are not in genuine dialogue. The diversity of this room is not a complication. It is the raw material of regional movement. Above all, it demands long-term commitment. I'm grateful that we have heavyweights in the room, commissioners, um, development commission, ED. Please ensure that they all sign the memo. Above all, it demands long-term commitment. Summit matters. Yes. Remind us why the movement is necessary. The work of advancing youth development across the Northwest should outlast this gathering. The network you build here, the commitment you make, the collaboration you begin, those are what will determine whether this summit becomes a milestone or merely a memory. There's an African adage that says, I want all of us to listen to this. There's an African adage that says, when we all go into a room to discuss, and we come out laughing, come out with a commitment, and everybody knows that, oh, we've done something, and we need to commit to something to effect change. That means we have told ourselves the truth. And I want us to take that away from here. We are at an inflection point in this country and in this region. What should we do now? Should we pivot? Should we scale or should we sunset? Going far and fast in the wrong direction will not get us anywhere. Development, progress, and justice. The Northwest has talent, history, and a young population. That is the greatest resources. What it needs now is that the young population are equipped, networked, and determined. I'm closing in. The Nigerian Youth Fellowship, the Nigerian Youth Futures Fund is proud to stand with the work you do. We work and let us do work together that the Northwest will feel for years to come. I leave you with this word. We are better together. Let us stand together to build the Nigeria we want. Thank you, and God bless.
Nigeria's Youth Futures Fund regarding the work it does across Nigeria, all of the 36 states, to strengthen youth leadership, governance, and development across the region. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much, Nigeria's Youth Futures Fund. Now, just shortly, I would like to welcome for a goodwill message. I would like to welcome the DG and the Chief Executive Officer of Can Invest, Kano State, Dr. Nazir Muhammad Haliru, to deliver the remarks before he takes his leave. Let's give him a round of applause, and we're honored to have you here today, sir. Thank you.
Due to the protocol, um, the uh, Honorable Commissioner of Youth Kaduna State for slightly breaching the protocol. This is one of the traditions of youth, and especially when you have your friend being the anchor of the program. Unfortunately, I have an audience. Let me to brief connect. I get to 35 years, if I'm correct. And who can guess that of Nigeria? Who can guess that of Nigeria? I think all the commissioners here are above 40 years, right? So anyway, we are still part of the youth population, and which the youth carries the largest part of the population, especially 70% or over 70% of the population of the Northwest, or even the country itself is below the age of 30. And for Northwest, we are talking about over 66 million population. So 66 million population takes 70% of that. That tells you a lot about the huge potentials that we have. I'm not talking about the economy. I'm not talking about the GDP. If you go down to talk about the economy of the Northwest, is greater than the many economies in Africa. Rwanda is a country, but the GDP of Northwest combined, Mozambique, Malawi are countries within Africa, but the GDP of Northwest are greater. Asking us, especially us at the investment promotion agencies, are asking us to get jobs from investors. Yes, we do engage with investors. We do engage and attract investment in our various states, but the investors keep asking us, we need skilled population. I'm also posing the question to you, the youth, do you have the required skills to participate in the market? Do you have the required skills to also get an opportunity within the private sector, within the government? So government resources are limited. I don't think it is time now that the youth of Nigeria or the youth of Northwest will begin to think around getting government jobs. Government jobs are limited. And government jobs, I wouldn't say they will take you to the promised land, but of course, they are what what we usually say enabling environment. So the mindset should be changed towards thinking innovatively how you can engage that you have close to. For instance, the youth from Kano. How many of you from Kano why is Kano left behind? Why are the most populous? So generally, we have similar economy. We have similar. So we have so many opportunities before us that we need to tap. And for us at investment promotion agencies, I would like to speak on two things quickly. First is we have to us every day, waste that we accumulate every day. We can make investment in the waste. From waste collection to waste segregation.
value chain. I will leave you with the assignment to go into the value chain. Secondly, I think last month or 2 months ago, we launched energized commercialization now in Kano for the Northwest with the Ministry of Innovation Science. Want to start engaging with innovators, aggregators, and also startups to package their investment, to package their ideas into bankable investment projects. You can have an idea. You can have, a startup which will help you to package and get funding from relevant. These fundings are there, partnerships is there, everything is there. It's just policymakers as well as I would like to also suggest community of practice across the various states. This is where policies can lead to implementation, where policies that the state have across the youth development can lead to development implementation. While youth across the Northwest is able to develop community of practice that you can be engaging with government, not hold us accountable, will continue to but however progress that has been from our governor our social rightly connect with the right people.
Thank you so much, Dr. Naziru. Let's once again give him a round of applause as he attends to other engagement as well. Now, I would want to appeal, due to the fact that we start late, which we sincerely apologize for our next speakers who will be coming up. We humbly implore
that you try to minimize while you deliver your messages. And to that regard, I would like to move further to welcoming some of our special guests, the fathers of the youth in the house across all of our states here present. I think before we move further, I would like to really welcome for a goodwill message. I would like to start in alphabetical order, and I'll start with Jigawa State. It is my honor to welcome the Honorable Commissioner, Jigawa State Ministry of Information, Youth, Sport, and Culture, Honorable Sagir Musa Ahmed, as he delivers his goodwill message. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So, the chairman of this memorable occasion, I want to stand on the existing protocol. I must confess for coming late, so I really apologize. It's really not attend any occasion as late as I can today. I do apologize. Happens because I actually engagement yesterday in Abuja. I had to travel all the way this morning. I actually wanted to, yeah, to make it. As directed by the master of the ceremony, the goodwill messages have been said earlier, but I haven't had the opportunity, despite coming late, to say a few words. I would like to use this opportunity on behalf of my humble self, being the Commissioner of Information, Youth, Sport, and Culture in Jigawa State, to extend the goodwill of youth of Jigawa State to this very important occasion. And I must congratulate the organizers of this very occasion very, very warmly, particularly the Bridge Connect Africa, for having the foresight to set a stage where we're going to have this a very important conversation. I remember earlier this year, we had a similar engagement that brought together all youth commissioners and youth from the Northwest in Jigawa, where we had the youth party. But coming to Kaduna, to have this opportunity where we are going to move from state action to a regional action, I think it's quite important. And I must say at this point that as far as Jigawa State is concerned, we are willing, ready to work collaboratively with all our colleagues from the Northwest region to see that we have a common front part of the objective of this meeting to see that we are able to emerge stronger as a region. But I must recognize the potential of Northwest. Having had the opportunity to see a lot of youth champions, I've met so many youth leaders that are here. I have confidence in my mind that coming together to have this summit, to have a common front, we'll be able to do well in terms of youth development in our policies in respective states across the Northwest. Without taking much of your time, I would like to use this opportunity to thank the organizers of this very important occasion for having the foresight to bring us together. And we will do our best to ensure that we do what we can as a team to be able to actualize, particularly on behalf of all my colleagues commissioners who do well to ensure that not only gathered in Kaduna to have a policy, but to go back to our respective states to see how we can implement and follow up so that we can be able to emerge stronger. And I must recognize the presence of our Northwest Development Commission prop. I was here when he was making his remarks. I'm very glad to see that under the direction of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we're able to have Northwest Development Commission like any other region. So with the foresight of the prop, like what he's doing so far at the Development Commission, and also see how we can have synergy to collectively see how we can turn around to be able to make West, Northwest Nigeria to be able to be what we are because we have a long history. If we can cite example when we talk of revolution in Nigeria from the ancient time, Northwest Nigeria has been at the forefront of every revolution that happened in terms of developing Nigeria. And one thing I want to tell this gathering, coming to Kaduna to have this vibrant youth is a huge opportunity, and we must leverage from this gathering to be able to see how we can turn around Northwest Nigeria. We have a lot of potentials and we have also challenges, but I want to tell everybody that is here, with the youth I have seen here this morning or this afternoon, we'll be able to do well. If you talk of Northwest Nigeria, I'll give you an example pre-independence, when we have people like Ahmadu Bello. It was few elite schools, like the Katsina College, Rumpa College, Barrio College, and few schools that produced vibrant young men at that time that were able to make the history that we are proud in Nigeria today. That's when we have the era of Ahmadu Bello and the co. When you talk of successive military regimes that have happened, it was few elite schools that were able to produce Nigerian leaders that we are still proud of or that have been able to run this country. So with the technology at our disposal, with the way and manner our society is, this generation, you have much more in terms of tools to be able to make Northwest Nigeria a very great region. Like my friend just mentioned, when you look at the GDP of this great region, it's bigger than most countries that we are really proud of, because when you look at the revolution that is happening in Rwanda, it's quite amazing, it's quite interesting. So with you as leaders of this region, because you are the leaders, we are no longer saying youth are the leaders of tomorrow, you are the leaders today. You can have all you want to be able to change the world and to be able to get an enabling environment that each of us can collectively work consistently to ensure that we have been able to record success in terms of the objectives of this very important gathering. Thank you for coming, and I wish each and every of you turning back to your respective destinations safely.
Thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner, for that wonderful remark and for bringing more perspective into the need for us to have more coordinated regional agenda. This also brings us back to the theme of this summit, from state action to regional impact, advancing youth policy agenda across Northwest Nigeria. And this is why, as part of the work we've been, there's a very important session coming up, and you would know, like to miss it. As part of all of our sessions across the states, we brought together recommendations on what must be done going forward. And it's a document that we will be looking for to be endorsed and then already aligned with state ministries on some of the outcomes. And this is only to guide the next stage as we continue to engage the ministries on how can we have more stronger youth policy framework. So I crave your indulgence to be a bit patient while we just finalize this session and delve into it further. Now, it is my honor once again to welcome the Honorable Commissioner for Youth and Sport Development, Kebbi State, Honorable Nuruddin Bala Fingila, to deliver his own remarks. Let's give him a round of applause as he comes on stage. And I please implore us to try to minimize our speeches. Thank you.
Rahim wa sallallahu ala Nabil Karim. The executive governor of Kaduna State, ably represented by own, our colleagues, the Honorable Commissioner, Youth and Sports, Youth, Kaduna State. Advantage standing on the protocol, let me not be selfish. I have to recognize my chairman, my leader, the chairman of Nigerian Progressive Commissioners, Dr. Sagur, who double as the Commissioner for Youth and Sports Culture of Jigawa State. Let me also recognize our own prof, the only prof in the session, who just gave us not just a keynote address, but a lecture that each and every one of us must reckon with. Your Excellency, permit me to recognize our directors of youth. They're very wonderful in our ministry. Thank you very much, directors. I stand in here to represent the good people of Kebbi State to this very important occasion. And it is a profound honor to bring you warm greetings from the government and people of Kebbi State on this landmark occasion of the Northwards Youth Summit. In Kebbi State, we have continued to strengthen our commitment for creating an enabling environment for young people through inclusive government, stakeholders engagement, and ongoing development of more structured policy framework for youth development. While the state is still advancing its youth policy demonstration process, important progress has been made through sustained collaboration between government institutions, civil society organizations, youth network development partners, and other stakeholders. The Youth Leading Change program implemented by Bridge Connect African Initiative with the support from the Nigerian Youth Futures Fund has provided an important platform for supporting this process. Though strategic advocacy and multi-stakeholders dialogues in Kebbi State, we collectively reviewed policy priorities, identify implementation gaps, strengthen inclusion, and contributed practical recommendations for refine the state draft youth policy. Therefore, to see Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Katsina, Kano, and Kaduna, Jigawa gathered under one roof is proof that our shared destiny is greater than our separate borders. Your theme, from state action to regional impact, is both timely and urgent. For too long, we have worked in silos. Excellent programs confined to state lines, brilliant ideas that stop at local government boundaries. But insecurity, unemployment, out of school children, climate change, and youth restiveness do not carry state IDs. They are regional challenges that demand regional solutions. The truth is simple. State action is necessary, but it is not enough. If Sokoto advances agriculture, Kebbi scales irrigation, Katsina builds skills acquisition, Kano drives industry, Kaduna lead technology, and Jigawa expand renewable energy, imagine the force when these actions unite. That unity is the regional impact we are talking today. Distinguished delegates, the Northwest is not defined by deficit, like what the professor have just said. We are defined by potentials. We have West arable land. We have a young, energetic population. We have a rich cultural heritage. What we need now is synergy. Synergy of ideas, synergy of resources, synergy of political will. We must move from fragmented projects to integrated strategy, from isolated efforts to connected ecosystem. To our youth, you are not just beneficiaries of policy, you are architects of the future. This summit must produce more than communicates. Let it produce collaboration. Let it buzz across states enterprises network. Let it buzz a Northwest youth development compact, where one state success becomes every state blueprint, and one youth breakthrough leads an entire community. To our leaders, invest in youth, not as charity, but as strategy. Youth are not the leaders of tomorrow, like what my leaders have just said. They are partners for transformation today. In conclusion, I commend the organizers for this bold convening. May your deliberation be sharp, your resolution actionable, and your impact lasting. From state action, let us raise to regional impacts. From regional impact, let us build a Northwest that leads Nigeria. Thank you and God bless. I wish everyone an accident-free journey back to your various destination. Thank you once again.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for those wonderful remarks and bringing more perspective from Kebbi State. Now, I really understand that many of you will be asking, we're still taking goodwill. Our sincere apologies, but we're only taking this and then we switch to a segment, then we break for prayer. Is that okay? Is that okay? Should we complete all of the goodwills? So let's just take one and then we take one presentation and we break for prayers and then we come back and continue from there. Is that okay, please? All right. Thank you so much for that. Now, it is my honor once again to welcome the Honorable Commissioner for Youth and Sport Development, Zamfara State, Honorable Tasu Musa Shinkabi, Serkin Rafin Shinkabi, to deliver his own goodwill message to us today. You're welcome, sir, and let's once again give him a round of applause. Excellent. Friend, Honorable Commissioner Youth, State, all the Honorable Commissioners Jigawa, KB, Special Advisors from Youth from Kano, and the representatives of Federal Ministry of Youth, and the Prof from the Northwest Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all. It is with immense pleasure and a profound sense of responsibility that I address this distinguished gathering at the Northwest Youth Summit 2026. I combine the warm greetings and best wishes of His Excellency, Governor Dodalawa, the government and good people of Zamfara State. At the outset, I wish to commend the Bridge Connect Africa initiatives with the support of the Nigerian Youth Futures Fund for conceiving and implementing the Youth Leading Change program. Through these initiatives, young people have been equipped with practical skills in civic engagement, policy advocacy, and leadership and leadership, thereby strengthening their capacity to contribute meaningfully to governance and development. Today's summit represents more than the conclusion of program. It is marks the beginning of a renewed regional commitment to place young people at the center of policy formulation, implementation, and evaluation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this summit, from state action to regional impact, advancing youth development in Northwest Nigeria, is both timely and compelling. Nigeria is a youthful nation with over 70% of its population under the age of 35 years. The Northwest region constitutes one of the largest concentrations of this demographic group. To accelerate economic growth, deepen demographic participation, and promote social transformation. However, this demographic dividend can only be realized if we invest deliberately and strategically in our young people. Conversely, if their aspirations are neglected, the consequences may include increased unemployment, social exclusion, insecurity, irregular migration. Therefore, investing in youth development goes beyond a social obligation because it is a strategic necessity for sustainable development. Creativity and vocational opportunities, poverty, insecurity, and inadequate participation in governance. As leaders and policymakers, these realities call upon us to move beyond ceremonial declaration, adopt practical, measurable, and inclusive approach, active like many states in the Northwest has been experiencing significant development challenges arising from insecurity and social some communities challenges terrain. Nevertheless, under the purposeful and people of His Excellency Governor Dauda Lawal, the government of Zamfara State growth, expand access, promote, enhance digital literacy and innovation, support reach vulnerable and underserved population, including rural and hard-to-reach communities. No young person will be disadvantaged because of geography, social
distinguished guests, as Commissioner for Youth and Sport Development, I must emphasize the transformative role of sports in youth development. Sports transcends recreation, powerful for peace building, talent discovery, sport have young sustainable environment, talent. Our district is very young person, every young person, not only sport education, but one of the most commendable aspects of outdated nation by affirming that young people possesses the ideas, energy, and innovative capacity required to shape the future of our society. Government must therefore create institutional frameworks that facilitate meaningful young participation in decision-making process. We must continue engage young people not as spectators, but as co-creator of policies and programs that affect their lives. To the young leaders gathered here today, I encourage you to remain committed to constructive engagement, innovation, and service. Leadership is not defined by age, but by vision, integrity, confidence, and a genuine commitment to the common good. The future you desire cannot be assured or sought to others. It requires your active participation, resilience, and sustained determination. The proposed Northwest Regional Youth Development Agenda presents a unique opportunity for our state to move from isolated interventions toward coordinated regional action. The challenges confronting our youth exceed state boundaries. Therefore, our responses must equally embrace regional collaboration. By harmonizing priorities, strengthening institutional coordination, and establishing mechanisms for accountability and implementation, we can collectively create a more prosperous future for young people across Northwest. On behalf of the Zamfara State Government, I wish to reaffirm our commitment to support initiatives that promote youth empowerment, policy innovation, regional cooperation, and sustainable development outcomes. Specifically, Zamfara State commits to some certain areas. A, supporting the implementation and periodic review of youth-focused policies and programs. B, strengthening institutional mechanisms that facilitate meaningful youth participation in governance. C, promoting entrepreneurship, employability, and skills acquisition initiatives targeted at young people. D, expanding opportunities for sport development as a vehicle for empowerment and social. E, collaborating with development partners, civil society organizations, and youth-led groups to maximize impact. Finally, participating actively in regional coordination mechanism established to monitor progress and ensure accountability regarding commitment made under this regional agenda. Distinguished participants, the true measure of our commitment will not lie in the fluency of our speeches today, but in the actions we undertake tomorrow. This summit, this summit must therefore serve as a catalyst for sustained action, effective implementation, and measurable impact. Let us work collectively to ensure that the commitment we endorse today translate into tangible improvement in the lives of our young people. As we look towards the future, let us remember that the greatest source of Northwest Nigeria is neither its land or its mineral wealth. It is the immense potential of its young people. If we invest in their education, nurture their talents, amplify their voices, and create opportunities for them to succeed, they will become architects of peace, drivers of economic prosperity, and champions of social transformation. The future of Northwest Nigeria will not be determined by the challenges we inherited before, but by the opportunities we created for our young people today. If we empower them with the right skills, support system, and platforms for engagement, they will not merely inherit the future but build it. On behalf of the government and the good people of Zamfara State, I thank the organizers advancing youth development across our state and the northwestern region at large. Together, let us move from state action to regional impact, ensuring that no young person is left behind in our collective journey towards peace, prosperity, and sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner, for your warm regards. Just briefly, for the last presentation we'll be taking before we break this session, is the presentation of the Northwest Youth Policy Agenda, and this briefly highlights the status of youth policies across all of these states, and also with recommendations on what must be done going forward across all of the 7 states. And for this, I would like to welcome Abdulaziz Musa, the Director of Programs, the Bridge Connect Africa Initiative, to facilitate that session and having the guests here with us. Thank you so much.
So much. Into just highlighting a few things that we've learned from engaging across the region and the Northwest. Today we are gathered here not just what to ensure that as we are living here, we are living here with commitment. And to ensure that we have that very handy, we've been able to do a lot of things across each of the states in the Northwest region as a Northwest, Northwest Catalyst lead and grantee for the Nigerian Youth Futures Fund. The Youth Leading Change program has trained over 35 young people directly over these young people to build their capacity. They've carried out projects across each of the number of people highlighted stories from communities of what it means to them for their states to be a state that can be seen as one that is developed through of the potential of their young people. And in doing this, we look at the angle of policy. What is the policy saying across each of the states? It is no doubt that if you want any state or society to develop, you need mechanisms, you need frameworks, you need tools to ensure that there is development. And for young people, we've engaged with them. We've also engaged with the institutions that are responsible for their development across the Northwest region. And some of the things that we've discovered, especially when it comes to youth development and policy, is that each of the states are making fast moves when it comes to their state development and youth policy issues. Please, let's put our hands together. I think there's never been a good time to talk about youth development other than now, because we've seen the strive, we've seen the struggle, we've seen the efforts that each of the states are making. But then these states are also moving at a different speed. So just to highlight, for example, when you look at the youth policy for Sokoto State, when you look at the youth policy for Sokoto State, currently they are already implementing. It has been signed into law and they are implementing, but there are also challenges. When you look at Zamfara, they are just in the initiation stage. When you look at KB, they are on the review stage. When you look at Katsina, they are also just initiating. When you look at Jigawa, they are just initiating. When you look at Kano State, it is currently at the State House of Assembly and they are reviewing, because the policy they currently have since 1970 something that they are using. So we've made efforts, and that policy is also currently at the with the State House of Assembly, and they are currently reviewing. When you look at Kaduna, they are currently moving into the adoption stage for the state youth policy. Now, this is why we say we are all making progress at a different speed. But then, to ensure that we fast track this process, we collated details, information. We also ensure that we heard voices that are at the forefront of this change making. Civil society organizations, young people that are, taking steps, the institutions themselves, which is the ministries that are leading this process. We've engaged with them, and we've had a consensus that if we want to move forward and fast track the process, we must have a regional mechanism. And I love the fact that each of the commissioners, when they were making their remarks, they were stating the fact that we need to have a mechanism to ensure fast development for young people across the Northwest. Please, let's appreciate them. Now, with the support of these ministries, we've been able to do this. And currently, we have a regional mechanism, which, with the support of also the commissioners here today, and the MD, the Northwest Development Commission, will be endorsing as a document or a tool to help us to fast track the process. So this document actually highlights 5 key priorities. One is policy system and coordination. How do we have effective policy system and coordination? Number 2 is youth participation and inclusion. Luckily enough, we have commissioners currently that are very key about the development of young people. So one of the key priorities they also highlighted is how do we ensure that young people are also participating actively and they're also included in their development. Another priority that we've also been able to harness as part of this process is employment and innovation. I can remember very vividly that when we were discussing across each of the states, we recognize that many of the challenges we are having, if young people are properly engaged, if they have what they are doing, they are employed, and they are contributing to the social and economic development of their states, we will not have many of the challenges that we are having. We've also highlighted that this morning. So this is also a key priority as part of this agenda. Another one is financing and partnership. How do we ensure that we create the foundation to ensure that we are appropriately and quickly financing and also ensuring that we are partnering to ensure the development of young people across each of the states. And lastly is the implementation sustainability. How do we ensure that this implementation across each of the states is also sustained? It's very easy to maybe have discussions and come up with a framework, but how do you sustain the implementation? And one of the good things we've been able to do is to ensure that young people are actually the ones at the forefront, while the ministries are supporting for them to say what they want, how they want it to be, and what they think is best to move forward. So these are the key priorities in this agenda. And for us not to take too much time, also ensure that we create first 12-month implementation process for this agenda to move forward. But to make this a solidified process today, we want to ensure that we have it endorsed, and each of the ministries also commit to working with this document. This document is not a policy that we have to sign. It is just us coming together to say, this is what we want for our young people. This is how we also want it for our young people across the region. So, to ensure that we have this endorsed, it is going to be a collective process, but it will be led by our MD here today, in person of Professor Shehu Maji, who will be leading the process as the Northwest Development Commission Managing Director and CEO. We invite you to the stage, sir, Prof. Please, let's put our hands together for Prof. Also, we will be inviting to the stage each of the commissioners across the Northwest region. Commissioner, our host, Commissioner of Kaduna State, you're welcome to the stage, ma. And the Commissioner of Jigawa State for Youth Development, Commissioner of Zamfara State for Youth Development, the Commissioner of Kebbi State for Youth Development. You're all welcome to the stage. Please, let's put our hands together for them. Now, we invite to the stage our Executive Director, Sani Muhammad. Please, let's put our hands together for him. We invite to the stage, please, let's put a resounding applause for our partner, the Nigeria Youth Futures Fund, the representative of the Nigeria Youth Future Fund. Also, we are inviting to the stage the SA for Youth Development, Kano State, who is representing the commissioner today. And we move to the chiefs of the chiefs, the ones who hold the mantle of development for young people across Nigeria, the representatives of the Federal Ministry of Youth. You're welcome to the stage. We have something here. Yeah, we are moving. Please, Amir. So we also invite to the stage the Chief Operating Officer of Bridge Connect Africa Initiative, Fatima Musa Aliu. Please, let's put our hands together for her, please. We have something here bundled, but this looks like the future of young people for the Northwest region. All right. Right now we are moving into the official endorsement of the Northwest Youth Policy Agenda, and to lead this process, I invite to the stage the Executive Director of Bridge Connect Africa Initiative.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. This framework has been put together in collaboration with help us from
Thank you very much. Benefit of all the youth, not in Nigeria and globally. Therefore, we endorse this document. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah. Zamfara. Alhamdulillah. Kebbi.
All right. Thank you so much, honorables here present, for this momentous occasion and for also making commitments to developing youth policies which ultimately will engender into stronger youth development outcomes across the region. Now, it is with this that I want to provide special assistant to the governor, special advisor to the governor of Kano State on youth and sport development to give us his remarks, and then we close the session for our break, and then we come back. It's my pleasure to welcome Sani
government officials, other youth and sports organizations stand on the existing protocol. It is my distinct honor and privilege to convey the warm message and greetings by His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, Engineer Bakaba Yusuf, popularly known as the game changer, visionary leader, champion of the masses, hope of the hopeless, defender of common advocate and social justice, promoter of peace and unity, Kano first patriot, youth-friendly governor, transformational reformer, and a leader whose commitment and true inclusiveness and governance continue to inspire millions. On behalf of the government and good people of Kano State, I extend my warm greetings to the organizers of this important summit, Bridge Connect Africa Initiative. The Nigerian Youth Futures Fund, the Kaduna State Ministry of Youth Development, other development partners, government representatives, youth leaders, all stakeholders gathered here. The theme of this summit, from state action to regional impact, advancing youth policy agenda in North Nigeria, is both timely and significant. It reflects a growing recognition of sustainable youth development requires more than isolation programs. It requires strong institutes, clear policy direction, and effective collaboration between government and the young people. Kano State, this conversation comes at an important moment. Initiative from Nigeria Youth Future Fund. Kano State benefits from strategic advocacy engagement, multi-stakeholder youth policy dialogue. Government institutions, civil society organizations, youth group development partners, and policy actors examine the future of governance in our state. The process helps strengthen coordination, deepen stakeholders' engagement, and build consensus around pathways for advancing youth development reforms. One of the key outcomes of this engagement Bill 20 seek to replace the outdated Kano Youth Edict of 1976, and young people